Welcome to Networking in Today's School Environment. I'm Julia Melton. What is a network? A network is a group of connected computers that allow people to share information and equipment. This is an example of a network. It looks a little confusing, doesn't it? We have computers, and we have routers, and we have switches and servers. Let's explain a couple of these things. A network can also be used around the world. We use them every day, especially if you log on to the internet. The internet is one of the largest networks that's available. We have networks that connect to networks that connect to networks, and then we all share information. There are different types of networks. We have a peer-to-peer. This is where each computer stores its own information and resources and can share information with other computers. There's not a central computer or a server that holds that information in the middle where each computer can get it. Each one holds its own. But they can talk to each other. Like in this example, peer 1 can talk to peer 2 can talk to peer 3 or 4. It makes it very simple. A lot of times you'll see this in home networks where several people in the family each have a computer, but they can share files with one another. But they don't have a main computer that hosts or controls all of that. Each one can talk to each other without that main computer. Then there's the client-server network. If you notice that we have each individual person, like these are individual, each one of your students, or each one of you for that matter. And for example, like if you want to get information you want to share information with your students, then you can place that information on a file server, and then each one of your students can retrieve that information from the file server without you having to hand out to each one. Now, you can also share a printer or a scanner or what other type of resource that a network can share. So, for example, if you want your students to all print off a specific project, then they can share one printer instead of having to each have one printer of their own. So, that's a client-server information or relationship. And lastly, we have the cloud. The cloud is basically where computers and companies on the internet offer software and storage to those with access to it, and you can use it any place at any time that you have access to the internet. For example, a personal computer or a notebook, if you happen to be waiting for an airplane and you wanted to do some of your work, you can log on to Wi-Fi at that location or internet and actually perform your work that you need to do as long as it's on the internet. Ways you can connect in wired, which is faster service, but you have a limited area that you can go to. Okay. A lot of times you'll see this in classrooms because it is just faster and it's also less expensive. Now, wireless, there's no wires involved. There's flexibility, but sometimes you have slower service compared to wired dependent upon the location that you're at and if there's anything blocking your actual remote access. And if you're off into the wilderness, you probably won't be able to get any access through wireless, but it depends on where you happen to be. But wireless is very good because a lot of the different places in today's society offer Wi-Fi access, okay, which is your wireless access, to be able to perform work, research things on the internet, etc. Now, this is an example of your school network that you're going to be using or already using. You have your classroom computers, which these are called nodes. All right, and each one of these are connected to a switch box. And the switch box are connected right here in the back with a wire that connects directly from the computer to the switch box. And the switch box is connected to the server. Now, the server will allow you to access each one of these students, as well as yourself, can access information back and forth without even having to put it on a flash drive or being able to hand out, materials on paper. You can do everything online. Now, the classroom printer is also connected to the server, so any one of these students can access the classroom printer just by making sure that they're connected to it through the server. Now, also in a school environment, which you've got your own workstation or your laptop, right, you will have a printer that you'll be connected to, an office printer or to your classroom printer, all right, and you'll be connected through a switch box as well, and you will have access to the server. So you'll be able to access information for your students as well as for yourself, and accessing to administration. So that's where email comes in as well. So you'll be able to share information in all of these different paths. Now, if you need to access the internet, you'll be able to do that as well. And the server will access through a router, okay, and the router will route that information, okay. And a firewall is a protective device to keep other people from getting in, and that will protect you. And you have to be able to connect to a provider, okay, or to an internet company, and you do that with the modem. That's the communication device to connect to the internet. And from that, you can access the internet, and all that information can come back to you. Your students can access the internet as long as you're connected through the school. And all of this will you will be able to communicate with all of these different areas just because of the connections through the network. Now, there's some advantages to networking. You have resource sharing. As we've already mentioned, you can share printers, so you don't have to have everybody have a printer, you just have one or two. All right. You can share computers. You can access your information from any point, any place that has access to that network. Okay, if you're connected at home to your network, you can do your work from home. Okay, which you will. And then you also can share software so that it's easier access for everyone and it's less expensive. And you can also share data and files. So that way you do not have to run across campus with a CD or a flash drive to get your information to another person. Or if somebody says, well, I forgot my work at home, if they have access to the internet or to the network from home, they'll be able to, and they've saved that information on that drive, then you'll be able to grade it from that location. Last but not least, on the days you can't make it to class or the office, guess what? You can log in and work from home. So it makes it a lot nicer to be able to be connected to a network. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and if you have any questions, you can email me at jam053@uark.edu. I hope you have a wonderful day.